very important question, because the idea that the Islamic world collapsed from within is one which I believe comes first of all from when Muslims were traumatized by this absolute huge thing that came from outside and destroyed something that had existed for more than 1,000 years in a state of stability. And I'm talking about social stability. Actually, what is remarkable about Islamic civilization is that, first of all, it is the only universal civilization. There can only be one universal. It spread from Arabia through to China and all the way across to West Africa. And it embodied all the different peoples and nations. And unlike, say, the Roman civilization or the Chinese civilization, which was utterly dependent upon the dynasty, when the Chinese emperor fell, it was chaos until it was reinstated, and the state was its. When the Roman Empire fell, it all fell. That world fell. With Islam, dynasties came and went, hundreds of them, because the relationship, the whole structure of Islamic civilization was not dependent upon the dynasty. The dynasty had a role to play. But the stability and the power of the civilization was within the whole Sharia culture, education system, the world maintained by the scholars. So the important thing is that it was the great civilization of the Sharia and of the educational structure and of the arts. The senses, you know, when you come to this wonderful trilogy of the mystical cognition, the reasoning mind, and the senses, the three ways we can comprehend, the three ways we understand the world. And in this God movement which took place within Islam, the senses, the knowledge of the senses is realized through the artist. They are the wise ones of the senses because they have heightened senses. And the environment that they created, the Islamic environment from West Africa through to China, the environment was unified. And the environment manifested unity. The geometric form, the structures, reasoning mind in Islam did not go AWOL like it did in the West, where it took off on its own. It reached that point of glorious conviction and clarity, because all of these three capacities for knowledge, for understanding, were directed towards receiving the revelation, of understanding the revelation. Now, that world, the inheritors of the Prophet, were the scholars. And that was where the power of Islamic civilization lay. And dynasties came to do their job, maintain certain orders, and they went. But the civilization continued on. And that civilization, that world, was intact right up until the 19th century. It was operative. It was able to take certain of the stresses and strains. But when the Industrial Revolution happened, and when the whole development in Europe took place, and when Europe descended into the world of the thonic principle of going deep into matter, of releasing powers, of developing powers which were beyond anything that you could develop if you were maintaining Mizan, nothing could withstand the power of them. Nothing. The power, it's like, you just think of it, going from fighting with bows and arrows swords, chivalry, to the atom bomb. The scale is completely different. And that is because by breaking the mereological principle of balance, by going down into the chthonic realm, you create an aberration of monstrous capacity, because this material reality, or appearance of reality, you claim to be the whole. And once you claim a part to be the whole, you produce an aberration. People say to me about this thing, what? I say, look, if you're playing by the rules, you have a boxing match, and at the end of round 5, the guy comes out for the 6th round, and instead of his boxing, he's got a machine gun. He's not playing by the rules. And that is the important. So this mereological principle, which is the part can contain, the whole can contain the parts, but the part cannot contain the whole. And immediately the part claims to contain the whole, you get an aberration. And that is the basis of the whole of the creation of the modern world. The reality is that the minute you break the mereological principle and you break the balance and you enter into the power of materiality, that power will provide you with the conquest of, you may conquer the whole world and lose your soul. That we are facing a crisis which is unique. Humanity has never faced anything like this before. And it is ever present. And it is eating into all our lives. It's going into our families. It's eating into the world of our children. Our children are worried. Our children are having mental problems. This is appalling. Childhood should never have been like this. So you can't balance the West with Islam. It's impossible. These two worlds have two completely different dynamics.